Hey there, this is Barton Hammond and I'm using Meteor Kitchen to develop a to-do application. You can see Meteor Kitchen at meteorkitchen.com. To recap from the previous video, we created the to-do application with a collection of to-dos which have two fields, title and completed. Now this video will change the private zone homepage to to-dos so that it makes sense when a user logs in that where they see their to-dos that the URL says to-dos rather than private. Then we will create two pages, one for insert and one for delete. This will allow the data view to take one of the options from the table and edit it, one of the to-dos. Then we're going to demonstrate how to pass the parameters from the data view to the edit form. So how does the edit form know which to-do to work on? And at the conclusion of this video, we should be able to insert, update, and delete our to-dos. So let's get started. Let's go to the designer and pick the application that we started in the last video. What we're going to do first off is rename that page that is the private zone home page. It will look just better. So we go to the private zone, we look at the pages, and we click on this home private. Just change this name to to-dos. And let's get rid of this page title. We don't need the welcome. And the next thing we need to do is just save this. So let's generate our app and see what it looks like. Again, I use the edit source and keep my designer open so I can go back easily if I make a mistake, and the designer will still be positioned at the point where I was working. And with the edit source now, I can download the file and go over to my generator tab, run the move and generate, and Meteor will start back up. And now we can see that home private is not there anymore. And I'm already logged in, and now we have the to-dos as the page where the table of to-dos will eventually be showing up. So that worked great. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to create two pages for the insert and update of the to-do. So let's go to the to-dos, and there's a pages component, and we're going to add two of them. The first one we're going to do is the insert. So do an add, and it'll be the insert name. Now you can, if we were doing more pages, it would be insert to do versus insert something else. The page title will be new to do, and that's all we have to do for that. We can go ahead and save this. And what we want to do now with this page, this insert page, is we want to add a form component to this page. So if you open up the insert, you'll see the components, and we're going to add a form component because that's what the user will work with, is a form to fill in of the fields that we need to enter. So now we have this form. We're going to call this form insert underscore to do. And we want to make sure that the mode down below here, the mode is insert. That's very important. And that the form for us at this point is just the default form. And then there's multiple routes here that we'll be using. If the user submits, we want to go back to the to-dos page, the page that'll have all the to-dos in a collection. If they cancel, if they close, or if they hit the back route. We're not going to use close, excuse me. We're not using the close. We're just using the back route. So that should take us, take the user back to the home page for the private zone doing this. Now, for the insert to work, it has to know what the query is. How is it going to know if there's well, one thing we want to do is we want to display a message to the user if there are no to-dos to work on. So we want to give it a query for empty, an empty parameter. So insert, excuse me, select your insert to do and click on the query that's below it. We're going to name this query to-dos empty. That's what it's going to be doing, and it's using our only collection that we have. And the filter here in this case is underscore ID is equal to null. Now the underscore ID is what Mongo sets as the identifier for the document in the collection. Let's go ahead and save this. And that's it for this insert page. We are done with the insert page. We created a component, we wrote a query for it, and we have now are ready to go to the next page. So go to Pages, add New. This page will be called Edit. And again, if we were doing a lot more pages, we'd be more specific and call the page Edit to do. Now, here we want to scroll down to the route params. We need to know what are we going to be given when this edit page starts up? What ID are we? What value are we going to be giving? What is the name of the parameter being passed? In this case, it's going to be called ID. Now, we haven't shown how to pass this ID, but we'll see it in a few minutes. But the parameter coming in, the name of it will be ID. So then for the back route, we want to say if you stop doing the edit, go back to the to-dos. Now save your work. Now on that page, this edit page, let's close this one up. On this edit page, we need to add the component, and it's going to be the form component. So let's add this, and it'll be a form. And we're going to call this edit to do. And edit to do, excuse me, and the mode will be, now this is very important. If you don't select this update mode, what happens, it'll default to insert, and that what happens is when you're editing your data view and you try to edit a specific document, you end up inserting a document. So you need to make sure that the mode is update. Again, on the routes, if they submit it, go back to the to-dos. If they cancel, go back to the to-dos. If they hit the back button, go back to the to-dos, and we'll save that. Now, the component has to know how to do its finding, how to do its query. So if you open up the edit to do and look at the query, what we want to do is we're going to call this find to do. So how do you do the query that will find the document to edit? And the collection name is to-dos, and here you put in your query, your Mongo query, MongoDB query, and this one is a little bit different. It's underscore ID, and the value that it's going to be looking for is colon ID. Now, this colon ID, this format means that I'm expecting a parameter, and the parameter's name is ID, or whatever name you want to give it, but it's the parameter named ID, and the underscore ID is Mongo's identification of the document, the unique identifier of the document. So let's save our work. So now we have two pages for the to-dos collection, one to do insert, one to do edit. So now we want to go back to the to-dos, and we want to add a data view to this component. Now we want to build out the collection of items that will be displayed in a table. So we'll add a new component, and the component will be a data view. We're going to call this view, and we're going to change the text if empty to text of nothing to do yet. Okay, and we're going to have, there's two routes here that they're asking for that we're interested in. The insert route. Where do we go when the user wants to insert? This is the reason what we built the insert and edit page first, so that when we're defining the collection page, the data view page, we can refer to these two pages, the insert and the edit. So for the insert route, we'll select to-dos insert. For the edit route, we'll select to-dos edit. Okay, so now the data view can reference these two works. Make sure, or these two pages. Make sure you save your work. Now on the to-dos, on your to-dos view, you have to go down and you have to find this edit, the edit route parameters, and they're way down here. What did I say? Just a second. They're not under pages. They're under view. Sometimes it's easy to get lost in here. So the edit route parameters. So this is where we're defining what parameter is going to be used. And the name, this is the name that we used earlier with the colon ID. That's where we get the name. The value is going to be this dot underscore ID. So this is the document that be edited, and the underscore ID is the identifier of that document, and the parameter's name is ID. So we can save that. So in order for the data view to be able to show data, it needs to have a query. So we're going to add this query here to the view. So here's your to-do, your component. The view of the component needs a query. This name will be to-do list. We only have one collection to select from, so we'll do that. And we can leave the filter right because we're not filtering anything. We want to see everything. So we'll save that. So if we're lucky and everything's fine, we should be able to run our application and log in and insert, update, and delete. Let's see how far we get. So I'm going to download. I'm going to run the generator. Meteor refreshes. Let's see if there's any errors. Doesn't look like any errors there. And let's see what happens here. And so we have on the to-dos page, since there's no to-dos, we have a nothing to do yet. So that worked. Let's add one. So this is a new to-do. And let's save it. Okay, so now we have a collection. We have the to-do. Let's see if we can edit it. Let's see if we can complete it and save. And so sure, the completed shows it's true that it was completed. Let's delete it. Are we sure? Yes. Let's add again another one. Another one. Let's save it. Let's edit it. Another one, edit it. Save. And we're looking good. So, in conclusion, we were able to bring the application we started with a to-do collection. We were able to display that in a data view on the home page, which was renamed to to-dos. We were able to edit it in the edit page. We were able to insert it with an insert page. We were able to pass parameters from the data view to the form. And at the conclusion, we were able to insert, update, and delete. In the next video, we'll do some filtering options. Thank you for watching and enjoy Meteor Kitchen.